It is 6:32 p.m. I'd like to call to order the special meeting, the Saybrook Police Commission. 6:30 p.m. Please join me in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We need a chance.
I apologize to the people who've been waiting online. We've had a technical difficulty here. We've already gone through the call to order and the Pledge of Allegiance. So far as roll call is concerned, all the commissioners are here. We're going to redo comments from the public, so you get to hear comments offered by one of our members in the live audience. Now is your turn. Please come forward, tell us your name, and offer your comment.
Hi, my name is Ashley Bond, and I'm CEO of We Are One, which is a grassroots anti-human trafficking nonprofit organization. And we provide basic needs to survivors and at-risk youth throughout the state of Connecticut. And I'm here today because it's National Human Trafficking Prevention Month, and I'm here to build awareness. And also it's National Law Enforcement Appreciation Day, and I'm wearing my back the blue to support. And we're always working to collaborate with law enforcement agencies. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is there anyone in the virtual audience wishing to comment on the subject of the budget at this time? If so, please raise your hand online.
No hands are raised.
All right, let's move on to discussion and possible action on the proposed Department of Police Services 2025-2026 operating and capital budgets. My suggestion is that we go through these page by page, commissioners offering comments, questions, etc. As we proceed. The first page would be police officer salaries, page 3. Does anyone have any questions or comments or suggestions concerning that page?
I got a question.
Yes.
The lieutenant down there that you have it second from the bottom, is that for 2 lieutenants or 1 lieutenant?
That's 2 lieutenants.
Okay, perfect.
Can you delineate what is comprised in that number?
Sure.
Because it seems to be more than what I was anticipating.
Okay. So remember that our competitive promotional process for the position of lieutenant, the eligibility would allow a senior patrol officer to also apply, as well as a sergeant. And so we made the calculation to make sure that whoever is selected in that process, we didn't predispose who we think is going to get promoted, because that'd be wrong to put the exact salary in. And so we have a delta in there of a potential patrolman being promoted, as well as senior sergeants as being promoted.
Commissioners with a question?
Well, and I would say the Sergeant Delta too. Can you explain that one?
Same type of thing. So there's different eligibility, right? So patrolmen are allowed to compete in that. So it could be someone who's less than that step 4. Someone at step 3 could possibly be promoted to that rank. So we have the funding in there to do that. If for some reason there's excess funding, we'll still be in the budget process, and we'll say to whomever is in charge of that section of the process, we now no longer need this.
Okay.
Yeah, so very transparent, but this is a competitive promotional process. And so we must be careful how we identify, like we could put a name there because you haven't selected anyone. That's the police
Right. It
commission.
just seemed, knowing what the stipend was based on what was in the overall MOU for this lieutenant, it just seemed that number was much higher than I was anticipating.
So the better way to explain it is if you take a look at the step category,
Right.
and you can see that people are at different steps. People at different steps have applied for these promotional opportunities. And so the delta, depending on whoever gets this, from whatever their current step is, to whatever step one lieutenant would be, or
Okay,
whatever their current step is to step one sergeant would be, could be different.
all right.
Maybe that's a better way of
Yes,
explaining it.
that actually is, but I like the idea of being able to modify the amount as
Oh,
we go
absolutely.
forward, that,
Otherwise, the salary chart wouldn't make any sense at the end of the day.
I think I'm a tad bit confused. So I'm looking at this, I see $24,714 for lieutenant.
Mhm.
Which is obviously not their yearly salary. So what, I don't get it.
They
Sure.
take their salary that they currently are getting and what the
Plus.
difference is gonna be if
Oh,
they become a lieutenant.
okay, thank you, right, thank you.
So that's why we named it Lieutenant Delta, Sergeant Delta.
Okay, got it. Thank
Delta
you.
is the
Allocation
difference.
of funds.
So I'm like 24,000.
But you'll all remember during my presentation, I said there's 175 days left until this budget
correct.
becomes
So,
active.
yeah.
And
Okay.
I
Per se.
predict within those 175 days, this commission will meet its obligation and promote individuals, which will change this, which will be reported to either the Board of Selectmen or the Board of Finance, depending on what month that happens during the budget process.
Okay, and likewise, that
Thank
would be
you.
the same then for the officers 23, 24, 25. that
Correct.
We were anticipating having this taken care of and hiring prior to July 1st of 2025.
Absolutely. Yep. One of the most difficult issues every year when reviewing a budget in January is having to remember that we're reviewing a budget that doesn't start until July 1st. And so between now and July, we're still open, we're still active, we're still doing things, and things can change. So what you see there is we know the things that are going to change based on your approvals. And so that's why we have funds in there to do that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
Before we turn ahead, I have an issue raised on page 3 here. I discussed this with the chief, so it's not a blind side. I am frustrated, and I think many commissioners have been frustrated that it started a couple of years ago that we presented the chief with our proposed evaluation instrument and process and invited his response. He has not engaged in any discussion with us since then. We raised this again last year, and he said he was at that point swamped with issues relating to the staffing crisis. We raised this again, and he said he was swamped with perf. We raised it in September, and he has not responded. The only tool that we have left, since Swasion has not worked, is freezing the chief's salary at its current level until such time as there has been agreement on an annual evaluation instrument and process, and an evaluation has occurred. And therefore, I request that this line item be reduced by the sum of $5,325, representing the delta between the chief's actual current salary and the projected salary for 25-26.
That figure, 5,000 what?
That's the delta between 182,825 and 177,500.
Okay.
So you're
If
choosing
that's
to,
a- if
you're
that's
choosing
a-
to
I'll put
discipline.
that-
No,
No.
wait, stop. I think we just got
You
a
know, why don't you
report
go to the
yesterday
chair?
and I just need 20, no?
This does not have anything to do with the report. This has everything to do with the idea that we have been trying to move forward in evaluation. And the committee met, established a tool, presented the chief
So you
with the
knew
tool.
that Chubb was gonna say this?
No, and if I did, of what relevance is that anyway? So the thing of it is, I do think that we're in a position right now where that evaluation tool has been out there. And believe me, it pains me truly to do this, but the evaluation was an important thing to us, or to me particularly.
And this
So,
seems to be the only tool we have that might work.
Is there a process that we can set a hard stop date and have the evaluation performed?
Well, we need an agreement first from the chief, and the chief has refused to engage with us
You
on
need
that.
an
I'm
agreement
asking.
with the whole commission as well
No,
as.
as right now, the ball is in the chief's court. Remember Carl and I think Chubb and Jill all worked on that evaluation tool and then gave it to the chief. And if I remember correctly, I believe that it was handed to the chief and we're now waiting on him. So the commission gave him that draft and according to his contract, it has to be a mutual agreement. So that's where we're at with that.
No, we were actually at the point where we were gonna reevaluate it, we were gonna bring it up again. Nobody has brought it up again. None of you have brought it up since he gave his goals back whenever you did your the yearly goals.
But see, the premise of that would be that he had put it in his goals and that.
So you're just
beyond
waiting.
that- Well, I
You're
mean,
you're waiting for other people to do the work and you're not gonna do
But
the
he's
work.
going to have to do the work. We
Jessica.
can't do that, Jessica.
Jessica, we presented our proposal to him and have been eliciting fruitlessly his response. That's where things stand.
Okay, so is there an avenue that we can explore wherein we take into consideration where we are right now, how to get to the end result of having this evaluation and collectively and collaboratively coming to a final decision? Is anybody in agreement to set up a hard stop date? Are you in agreement to say, I will provide you with?
He made it a goal for this year, for this
Right.
past year.
But
and he did
none
nothing.
of you have asked.
That's
You
not
have
true.
never asked.
Jessica, where were you in the
Okay.
September meeting? I asked, I reminded him, time is running short. And
Can
there's
we
been nothing.
revisit that opportunity? Is that something that you?
September. Okay.
September.
So let's look at a
So
calendar.
Jackie's asking a question to the chief.
So let's look at a calendar and kind of see. So today is the 9th. Where do you think you are with this?
Well, this is a very unique negotiation tactic. I'm going to discipline you by
It's not
withholding your raise until you negotiate and agree to a process.
I think we're
I'm
trying
not
to
sure.
move the process along.
I appreciate that, but I'm not sure that's the language in my contract.
no, it absolutely is the language in your
It is
contract.
absolutely
Do
not.
we have to vote on this raise? Or this
We're
holdback,
voting
sorry,
on the
this
budget.
holdback? Yeah, but the holdback, like, do we have to vote on
So
that?
you presented
Basically, it's
me
just a
with,
matter of if we're gonna lessen this entire budget by that amount of
Okay.
money.
so you provide me with two options to look at, right? One was from, can you just remind me?
No, we had developed a tool and we gave you the tool. And in fact,
But it was based on one Canada and one,
No, it was
No.
based on,
based on Morristown's, it was a model after the Morristown.
and we
And it was
modified it.
going to follow the stipulations in your contract, which said it was based on a self-evaluation with input from the commission. We never made it beyond giving it to you. And then beyond that, you put it in your goals, but then didn't do anything with those goals. So my feeling is it is in your court at this point. And I think this is not a form of discipline. It is simply,
it's denying me a general wage increase that
No,
everyone else in town is getting.
It was in
Absolutely,
his
it's-
fault,
it's
it was in
discipline.
his court when he developed these goals and we never followed up.
But we,
Like,
it's not,
how,
it's
like,
not on our side right now,
I actually
Jessica.
agree with you. I agree that we need this evaluation tool. However, we never brought it up again.
That's
As
just
a
not true.
commission, we never did because we have a
That is
lot of
not
political stuff going on that's like asinine.
Here we are right now. So
Yes,
I think
Jackie
that
was
we
right.
need to make a decision to move forward that's going to be beneficial for everyone considered. So Chief, I'm asking you, if you look at your calendar, and here we are trying to make this budget move forward, we do have meetings coming up. We can hold off, we still have time. Can you work within that time frame and provide that information?
And I have another suggestion to make.
Very good, thank you.
We have 6 months between now and when this budget goes into effect. That provides the chief with 6 months.
That's what
In
I
which
said.
to work
We
with.
have
that is
time.
not true. because this budget has to go to referendum
At the 15th.
in May.
No, okay.
So
No,
We
that's,
still
that
have
is,
time,
Okay, 5 months.
right, we still have time.
But the budget technically, the
We have to
evaluation
give
does
it-
not technically, unless we pass this, it does not technically affect the budget, right? The evaluation. No?
It affects the budget that we submit. That's what it affects.
If we
And-
vote that this 5,000,
It
$5,325.
doesn't matter what the dollar figure is, it's the process that needs to be followed, that's part of the organization. So, again, is there a date that you can commit to us so that we can move forward with this? And understanding what lies ahead.
So my contract requires that both the police commission and I agree on the evaluation instrument
And process.
and process.
Correct.
What I'm hearing, and please correct me if I'm wrong, that if I do not agree to an evaluation process or instrument, the commission is going to deny me the general wage increase that is provided to all municipal employees who are not in a union, the same general wage increase that I have received for the past 15 years.
But we are enforcing a language within
We are.
your contract.
There is no language in my contract that says, if I do not agree to an evaluation instrument, I do not receive the same general wage increase as the rest of the non-union municipal employees.
It is not phrased that way. You are right. It is phrased that your annual increases after your first fixed raise step
Correct.
process.
I'll read it to you.
But why could you just not at least respond to us? How about you could have taken it and said, I'm gonna use this in my document.
wait,
before it's-
respond? I haven't heard this until tonight.
Wait,
So
the
has
chief-
this been
Jessica,
spread?
the
Chief-
chief
we
is, we
just-
don't have this anymore. The chief has it. He has the tool that they created. We have already given it to him. So all we need is I don't like this or I like this, and then we move on, and then we have to decide what we do next.
And given the track record of complete refusal to engage, I think this is our only tool left.
Michelle, first of all, I'm not sure it's a legal negotiation tactic. I have to be honest with you. I don't know if it is or not. It seems very odd.
I don't know that it's a negotiation, I think it's a request.
Well, right now, it's if you don't engage in negotiations and agree, you're not getting your general wage increase.
No, not getting your specific weight raising.
That's what I'm saying.
Wage increase.
So I find that as a very strange negotiation tactic.
I find it's, if you read the contract language, I think you'll understand where I'm coming from.
Can you imagine if I sat down with our police union and say, unless you agree to something, you're not getting your contractual benefits?
That's a union. You're not a union employee.
You're
You're talking
you're
two
correct.
apples and oranges.
Which is why,
So just respond. Do you agree with the thing you were given or do you not? Because then we have to move forward. If you say, no, I don't like this, it has to come back to us and we have to work together. Simple. It's that simple. Like, yeah, how is that hard as that for just a response? to
Because
that?
I
do you
think,
really think that this is the proper format
Wait a minute.
to negotiate the
I don't-
evaluation instrument?
I don't
No,
know.
Chief, Chief, all this is a pressure on you to do what your contract obligates you to do, and you have failed to do.
but
I
why,
think you're failing to lead right now,
wait, just
because
stop.
I don't believe that this is,
Okay, that's
How my
very
contract-
disrespectful.
So
Chuck
this is
in charge of
disrespectful.
the police commission, and I don't
And the
appreciate you
contract
being
is about
talked like
me.
that. I do
and this
not.
is not an appropriate forum to negotiate
But
an
we're not-
element of
we're
my
not-
contract.
So what is
I'm
the
not-
form?
I'm
Stop.
We're not negotiating anything. What they're saying is, you don't wanna do your evaluation, you don't get your raise. It's simple, it's not a negotiation.
But that's not the language in my contract. That's not what it is.
Well,
But
I've read
Chief,
it a
you
couple of
promised
times.
to read us the language in your
Yeah, I have to find
contract.
my contract.
No,
I
but-
didn't realize we would be negotiating the
Chuck.
We're
evaluation.
not negotiating. We're talking, no. We are talking about my proposal that your current level of compensation be frozen until such time as the conditions I've outlined have been met.
I think what's bothering me about this is that when we first got elected, we tried this
Yes,
and it failed.
yes.
So
because the chief
why
has done
are
nothing.
we doing this again?
It's also in the chief's executive goals.
But
So
why,
He
but
makes
why
a
do
goal,
we?
but we don't give him a tool.
but
We
as-
gave him the tool.
But as police commissioners, we are in charge, right? Why do we have to even put on any sort of, contingency? Like, I don't understand why we even have to
So
do
turn
that.
to him and demand that he does it then. If you're
No,
saying
I'm
you don't have to.
demanding, I'm not demanding anything, just stop.
Well, you said we don't
Stop
have to
this
continue.
political, like where we go background and we talk to 4 other commissioners.
That's a
We get
start.
this whole plan going, and then we come out in public and we say, this is what we're gonna do. No, this is not what we're gonna do. We are not gonna do this.
Well, we'll have a vote.
Oh, majority, because that's what works, right? That makes everything better.
That's how democracy works.
No,
Chief, why don't you read the contract paragraph?
Just trying to find it. Hold on one second.
So we're clearly not gonna vote on this budget tonight, so can we move on to the next page? And
Yep.
see if anyone has questions, and then we can.
Well, I don't
backtrack.
know that
Because page by page, let's do it.
Would you like me to read the paragraph?
Sure.
Under performance evaluations. The chief of police shall be evaluated annually by the Old Saybrook Police Commission. The evaluation shall be related to outlined goals and objectives for the previous year and include an opportunity for self-evaluation, an evaluation review with the police commission, and discussion about the evaluation. Both the chief of police and the police commission must agree on the evaluation instrument and process prior to the commencement of the annual evaluation. The evaluation may be used in determining wage increases in concert with this document.
Okay,
This is
Okay.
talking about a wage increase in concert with that document.
Which breaks from past practice.
I know that's your position, and I've checked with council, and council says that's not an impediment.
You and the council,
Well,
you
so,
and the
you know,
lawyer.
you've already contacted an attorney about this.
Yes.
That's just new.
Because
Against, you haven't talked to us about this, so.
Because Chief Sparrow, when I talked with him about this, to give him a heads up, so he wasn't blindsided, said you better talk with council. So I did talk with council.
I
So let
am
me ask you
so
this
happy you gave him a heads up.
If
Thank
I
you.
say I don't agree with the evaluation instrument as presented, does that satisfy this and we can?
No,
move
it
on?
doesn't. We have to go.
'Cause we have to
move
find an
evaluate- to
instrument.
find an agreeable solution.
Well, I got a question to ask. In the time that the evaluation stuff, have you ever had an evaluation?
I feel I get evaluated every single month at these police commission meetings, when you ask me questions and I answer. And you have an opportunity to ask me anything you want and I give an answer, and if you don't like those answers, I either have to do more research or you take me to task on it.
But, you know,
Every single month.
you keep on using the word president. You know, you don't have a contract.
I do have a contract.
Well, you don't have a union contract.
I have a contract.
And that's the difference between presidents and non-presidents when you don't have one.
Precedence has nothing to do with being in a bargaining unit.
Well, that's,
It just
okay,
doesn't.
let's just keep on task at hand. I think we're getting away from it. This is where we are. We need to come to a solution.
But Jackie, we were never on task, like this whole contingency, were you aware of this, that he was gonna
I
ask
think
for?
that what we wanna do is
No,
be
no.
fair and reasonable
No,
to
excuse me.
everyone.
Were you
Jessica, let her
aware?
talk.
We are-
Please just let her talk. That's childish if you keep interrupting her. Let her finish her thought and then you can respond.
No, were you aware that this $5,000 was gonna be
you're
asked
out of
for?
order.
Thank
Please
you.
stop. Oh, I'm out of order.
Yes, you are.
I wonder why I don't want to sit down and negotiate.
So can Jackie finish her thought, please?
Yes.
Chief, is there something that, a date that you could give us? Or if you have an alternative example of an instrument for an evaluation that can fall within a timeline that's reasonable and acceptable for everyone within this room right now, the board and you, are you amenable to that?
Well, I
Because
think
if
that
you
we have,
Okay.
I'm not sure that we're going to come to a resolution in the next 3 or
But
4 days.
I'm not
We're
asking
just
for
not.
3 or 4 days.
Jackie, let me interrupt because I don't think it is appropriate to have the chief be in the driver's seat. We have to
I understand.
arrive at a mutual agreement.
But
And to arrive at a mutual agreement, history has shown us that we need to have some incentive on the chief's part to sit down and work with us. And that is the whole
But
sense
one
of
of the
that is the whole
sentences
sense of
was
my,
about the
proposal.
process and the instrument. So we gave you a process and an instrument.
Did we though?
Yes, we did.
No, we didn't do everything. We didn't actually make the instrument. We did a process.
No, we did
But we
both.
didn't provide a whole entire statement. If you want to show me this document that we created, please do.
That Carl and Chubb and Jill created.
The draft for the subcommittee, that was not, okay.
That was
It was a
presented, that
draft
was presented to
because
the
we
whole
were going
commission.
Okay, and how did the whole commission accept that draft?
It was a consensus vote that.
How did the whole commission accept that
I'm
draft?
answering your
Consensus is a
question.
vote.
It was a consensus vote, because this was to initiate discussions with the chief.
I think it was just a subcommittee though, to be honest with you.
No, it was.
No, it came back to the police
No, it
commission.
was a subcommittee.
It was a subcommittee and it came back to the police commission.
We are not gonna get anywhere because we are all just not getting along.
Well,
Like,
yeah.
this has been happening for 2 years. Regardless of what this perf report came out to, which is actually the
That's nothing
subject
to do with it.
of today, because we never go by page. We never do this.
We used it in the past. We used it in the past. Before you were on the police commission, we used to. Yes, we did.
And this is, I think, a
Right, right.
very logical approach. However, given the heat, I suggest that we take this part up again on our
Yeah.
meeting on Monday.
Yeah,
And everybody can take time to think about what they want to do. And if you want to call me about anything in the world, feel free to,
100%, yes.
We all,
or any other commissioner.
So can we make a motion to adjourn and just?
No, we have a lot
We
of
have-
other work to do today.
Oh.
I would say there's much more important work to do
Okay.
other than my general wishes.
I'm so excited.
Between now and
Right.
Monday, can you just point out in your contract, in your non-union contract, where it stipulates for you to get a raise every year? Because
Sure, and you'll see the same memo that's handed out every year by the first
that goes to
selectman.
the department heads. I understand that, but
That
that's,
talks about what the general wage increase is going to be for all non-union municipal employees. I am a non-union municipal employee. I appreciate Chubb taking the pause here for us to think about this.
Yeah.
And during that pause, I would just like all the commissioners to understand that after I completed my step raises as delineated in my contract, I've always received the general wage increase that was provided to all municipal non-union employees. I believe that using a negotiation tactic of withholding that past precedent general wage increase is a very strange negotiation tactic. And I believe I would receive that as that the commission was disciplining me by reducing or not allowing my general wage increase. And I don't think you can discipline me without cause. And so if what you're trying to say is you'd like to have more discussions, I think that's great, but I don't think you say we'd like to have more discussions and the only way we're going to force you to do it is not give me my raise. I just don't, that directly impacts the property interest of my municipal employer.
Okay, and you've heard me, so I'm not going to repeat myself. Why don't we move to page, unless there are any other questions on page 3. Let's move to page 4. Does anyone have any questions on that? Page 5. Get into the replacement charts. Chief, I have a broad philosophical kind of question here. Have you analyzed the question of whether it would be better to increase the staffing level at regular time versus all the backfill at overtime? And I understand that there are competing considerations each way, an important one being that many of our current officers rely on the overtime.
So that's actually not the reason. So the reason why we don't want to add staff is twofold. Number one, when you add additional full-time staff, you're adding additional long-term liabilities, right? So we're adding another pension, we're adding healthcare, we're actually adding additional replacement because that new employee comes with vacation time and they would have to be replaced. A certain percentage of those days would have to be replaced. And that new employee may still have to work overtime. They might be working a day shift at 2:30 and get a call that would require them to work to 4:30. And so I don't feel it would be appropriate for the town to increase staff, to increase long-term liabilities I think what we do here is very, very fiscally conservative. And as you see over the years, the number of hours or shifts that we've required have not changed, right? So in page 6 and 7 that you're looking at now, we show you budget years from 23 to 24, all the way to our current recommendation, where there's only 71 8-hour shifts that we're asking for in additional hours, or 568 hours. The amount changes because the pay of our police officers changed, but the amount of hours or time that we're requesting have not. So in summary, I'd like to stay away from adding long-term liabilities. I think that's a fiscally prudent thing to do. And I'm comfortable with the formulas and the requests that we've made.
I understand. I understood before, but I thought it was important to get that out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I gotta tell you, with that replacement word, I thought I knew what it meant, but after your presentation on Monday, I understand it 100%. I thought I had it, I thought I knew what it would, but you really explained it really well to the whole group, and I want to thank you, because I know what that means really well now.
Perfect, thank you.
Anything else on page 5? On to page 6. Any questions on any of these?
I have a question. On the number on the left-hand side, under the, line item number, the number in black that reads 35,420,
Just tell me what page you're on.
I'm sorry,
6.
6.
Okay.
Right under 51612, the black number 35,420. On that particular number, where is that, does that come from? I'm confused as to
Yeah. No
how
problem.
that
So
number was derived.
I'm gonna bring you back to page 2 real quickly. And on page 2, we put a key on what all those numbers mean. And so that black number in the lower left-hand corner, it says current 24-25 budget. So
Okay.
that number represents the current approved fiscal year 25 line item budget amount.
Okay,
And then our request is on the opposite side of the page, in the upper right-hand part of that bar, and it's in blue.
okay,
And then the difference between, the delta between the two, lower right-hand corner, if it's in green, it's an increase, and if it's red, it's a decrease.
okay. So on that number, I was just a little bit confused because I pulled up the 24-25 budget online, and I thought it was 35,130.
So if you look at our budget book, a little bit lower, and you look at that graph, that's the number we have, that's the number we are budgeting by. So without me going back and checking to see if that's different, I don't know. However, the only difference that would make would be that lower green number, the delta, but it would not change our ask.
Okay, would it be, would you mind then checking that? Because
Sure.
I seem to, in each one, I don't know, perhaps the read that I'm seeing is off and, what is being presented, what was online versus what is being presented. If you could just offer some clarification.
No
for
problem.
that.
I think if you get the, what we were handed at the last meeting of the budget, it says on that line item, additional hours, 35,420.
Yeah, okay. So, and you have that with you?
Yes.
Would you mind just
Okay.
showing her, maybe that will
So
answer
this
her
was
question?
December's. So here,
So that should just be fluid throughout these numbers?
right,
Okay.
these would be in the book. on
In
that
theory,
side.
yes.
Okay,
Right.
all right, good, thank you. That was my question.
Okay.
Thank you.
I appreciate you. Jackie came in today.
Yeah. I
We
was
met,
gonna
we
note
had
that,
some
actually.
questions, and so I appreciate you doing that.
Chief, while we're on this page, could you explain for us why the numbers jumped from 6226 or 7840 on page 5 and then on page 6, a different number? Is that because you're averaging instead of within a class? I'm not following that logic.
So I'm gonna have to ask you to ask the question again and tell me where you are, Chuck. So you said page 5, we keep moving on and going back, so that's why.
I'm on page 6.
Yep.
And looking at the numbers,
You're on page 6.
Well, no.
well, also, the same numbers are on page 7.
Yeah.
The 6185, 6236, and 6461. I'm looking back at page 5, and I don't see any of those numbers either for sergeant replacement chart or patrol officer replacement chart. And I'm asking you to explain for us, what's the difference in the calculations to get those two different numbers?
Sergeant rate, an average of the sergeant replacement rate, and then an average of the patrol replacement rate. So we don't include the sergeant's rate of pay in the patrolman average because we would be artificially increasing the replacement rate. And so to be transparent and to budget properly, we separate the two ranks. We average their replacement rate and then break it out for you in the formula. Is that your question?
Okay, and when you get to pages 6 and 7, you're averaging both sergeants and patrol officers, is that right?
The same rates.
Okay, so that's why those numbers don't match.
Same rates.
Thank you. Okay, any other questions on page 7? Page 8, how are we doing there? And numbers are appearing again.
Yes. And can I make a mention on the sick time?
Sure.
Someone had asked me a question. If you look at page 9 and you see our sick or injured replacement line item, again, it's very important to note that we don't budget the full liability here at all, right? So employees have sick bank time, we don't budget to. They earn about 12 days a year. We budget 50% of that. In the new bargaining unit agreement, the school resource officers each receive 6 days. We left that budget neutral. So while they would absolutely be backfilled if they called in sick, we would always have a police officer in the school. We did not add monies to do that because I've been able to, and now that we're getting closer to full staff, be able to rearrange someone that might be in a special assignment position, backfilling in the school too. So we did not increase replacement for them, but I wanted to show that they each get 6 days, six days in accordance with the collective bargaining agreement.
And am I correct in understanding that the 50% allocation you use is based on your history?
Correct. And we talked about it last night, right? So this is a personnel budget. 90% of this proposed budget is dedicated to personnel expense. If I have a police officer who chooses to use 12 weeks of FMLA as required, as allowed by the law, that drastically changes this thing.
Yeah.
So as I said last night, if you were building a $5 million municipal building, somebody would say, we should have a contingency. For our $5 million budget, of which is a 90% unpredictable personnel budget, there is no contingency. But this is why every single month, I give you the budget and you get to ask me questions about any line item you want. And so if that's an issue, and I report personnel matters to you, and I've reported before people being on longer leave. And so if that became a trend and we needed to adjust that, we would be able to have that conversation during that part of your monthly meeting.
I got a question then on this. You just said that they're on family leave, they have to use, do these days go in concurrence with family leave?
Concurrent.
They are concurrent.
They are concurrent,
Okay.
yeah.
Now, the other question I had on this page is, I see there's a few of you guys that have 200 hours, 199 hours.
Those are days.
Those are days, okay, excuse me, I didn't mean to say hours.
That's okay.
How, when you reach a certain limit, when do you have to use them or get paid off? Is there a certain time?
So the
that happens? in
The new bank provision is 200. Mine should actually say 195, because that's what I'm allowed to bank. And once you reach your bank, your maximum bank, you actually lose time.
You lose time, so okay, so if they don't lose it, they use it, they lose it. And yours, you
Once
say-
they reach the top.
Yes.
So I'm at 195 days, I get 18 sick days a year. If I don't use those days, I lose 18 days.
Okay, because it says you got 200, but I'll put 190.
195 is what my contract says.
So I thought that it rolled over, maybe not sick days, but,
So sick days roll over until they reach the maximum. So
okay.
I'm a new patrolman.
Yeah,
I
got
get
it,
12 days
got
a
it.
year. My maximum is 200.
Yep, got it,
Once I hit
sorry.
200, Can't
I'm
do that.
cluing in, sorry.
And again, if I understand it, your budget numbers here also are based on your experience.
Well, the experience is that we budget 50%.
Oh, I'm sorry, you're on the, I thought we were now up to the, oh, I'm sorry, you're still on the sick time.
Yes, we are.
I thought so, but if we moved on, I'm ready to do that as well.
No, I realized page 10, I was already looking at page 11.
Gotcha.
Anybody have questions on page 11?
I think you
Page 12.
really did justice to the holiday replacement conversation the other night. Because I had a note to ask you to explain it, but I'm understanding it now.
And the pages 12 and 13, any questions on either of those? Nope. I doubt that there are questions on 14, but that's ask.
If they are, they're for our finance
They're
director.
fine, that's true.
Life insurance.
Why are there different amounts?
Age.
That's what my question was,
Yeah.
because I
Yeah.
see some people have 565, some people have 664, some people have 794.
Salary.
Salary.
It's based on their,
Oh, it's based on the.
Sorry.
and
Age.
And it's not based on how many people they have in their family?
it is not.
Okay,
It's life insurance.
Salary.
life
okay,
insurance.
no, yes, no, I get that, I just.
So again, that's a
I
contractual,
guess I don't-
right? So they negotiate during the collective bargaining
yeah. Okay,
process what their life insurance is. God forbid, we hopefully never, ever, ever have to use. And then it's based on age and then their base salary.
Page 15,
I got a question on this.
any questions? I don't think so.
Mark does.
I got one. Can you explain the bottom part, field service retirement, DC contributions? Why is it just these two officers?
Because they're the only one on that plan, the only two that are on that plan.
Oh, it's a different plan.
Different plan. So Heather Clark is our Goodwin School Resource Officer, and she's also a retired police officer.
Okay,
August de France is a senior patrolman in our agency, but he also is currently retired from another agency. And so they have the opportunity to, do the 401k style budget, right? Where the match is much higher. So
thank you for that explanation.
those two choose to do that. Everyone else is in the defined benefit plan. These folks are in the defined contribution plan.
so I have one question on this page 15. And maybe I've been told probably, K9, we have a total of 11,494, and we have 87. Is that for the actual dog or is that for the service?
No, we don't pay the dog.
Okay,
So the FICA, so this is generally this is the FICA category. So we're showing you the money in the payroll compensation for the feeding and grooming for the canine, and
Yeah.
then what the associated FICA is for that. And this is the line item for the employee share social security contribution.
And Jessica, just so you understand.
Okay,
The
thank you.
11,494
yeah,
is the extra compensation that
okay,
the K-9 officer receives
okay,
to cover the cost of
yeah. of the dog.
taking care of the
Like,
dog.
obviously, I need to feed the dog.
Well, in treats, but not in real money.
All right, thank you.
Page 16, any questions?
Yeah, I just want to raise something. There's different amounts here for 23, 24, 25.
Mhm.
And I can appreciate you're trying to take a chance on each one. That you can get somebody who's a single. Why are you doing it that way? Because we could get 3 people here who are single insurers.
Mhm.
And then we have all this extra money
Well,
sitting there.
I understand that thought process, but let me share this thought process with you. 170 days until this budget starts, and then this budget is valid for 365 days. During that time, if you go north of Officer 23, 24, and 25, it is very possible that someone gets married, someone has a child, and their cost to their insurance plan changes. And so throughout the years, we have always budgeted replacements at the different levels, knowing that if we have someone budgeted for family, but we hire for single, then we have some buffer for the rest of our personnel for 175 plus 365. But also keep in mind, these are not funds that we have access to. So in other words, the health insurance line item and the dental insurance line item, and Leanne can speak to this if she wants in a moment, the finance department takes these line items. So this is not funds that are,
That will sit.
we
as-
budget everyone at family and everyone's a single, we don't have extra money to use. Those funds go to the town.
Okay,
So if there's a couple that say waived by it,
Yes.
and then one says 2,000, it costs the town
Yes.
$2,000.
Because when they give it, they get $2,000, which is a deal for the town.
Wait, what?
So it
If you waive
depends.
your option to have insurance, the town will
No,
outright pay.
no, but I'm looking at somebody specific, I'm not gonna say it out loud,
It's
that's
a public
married.
document, that's. not
Okay, so we
unusual.
have Stephanie, who's
Okay,
married
well-
to Eric.
Okay.
Why, like, okay.
So the stipend amount in the contract, if you waive the family plan, couple or family, is $2,000. If you're a single healthcare person and you waive it, it's $1,000. I do not think it's appropriate in the public forum to get into
Okay.
names of kids,
That's why I
husbands and
was like,
wives. I
okay.
just don't find that appropriate.
It's just if you're,
If you disagree, that's fine. I don't feel it's appropriate.
if
Yes,
you're
but
family,
they're
there's
for-
no sense in paying for two family plans. That just doesn't.
Well,
make
it
sense.
says waived, I just don't understand the whole, like, 2,000. And
So
again,
if
That's
you-
what, that's what the
It's in the
town will give you
contract.
if you waive the insurance. So
I
all these
get that,
people
I
that
get,
are waived are probably under 26 years old and on mommy and daddy's insurance still.
but you're
So
not, you're
that's-
not right with,
Why
with
don't we
one
let
of
the
them.
chief
What-
explain?
Okay.
The one that you're talking about, clearly, one of the spouses in that relationship
Is under 26?
would waive insurance, because if not, the town would be paying for a family plan for her and a family plan for him. That does not make sense.
So I guess what I don't understand is it says status waived, but total town cost, so like waived, and then there's still $2,000.
They're waiving their right to take insurance.
take the
for
insurance.
So the
town.
2,000 next to it does not apply.
So
get
so let me
paid
explain. Let me
reimbursed
use,
that.
let me use August of France, because I don't think he would mind me doing this. He waives because when he retired from the Middletown Police Department, part of the benefit of working in the city of Middletown is when you retire, you get health care for you and your entire family. Not the case in Old Saybrook. So one of the reasons people leave to go to Middletown is that benefit. That's a very good benefit, right? And so he waives, but he is a member of the police union. The police union contract that was negotiated with the town of Old Saybrook offers full-time law enforcement officers insurance. If they don't want their insurance for whatever reason, as long as it's in concert with federal law, they receive a stipend. There are two stipend amounts that cost the town money. If they're single, the cost to the town would be $1,000. If they're a couple plan, two-person, I call it couple, two-person plan, or a family plan, which is 2 plus whatever, the total town cost would be $2,000. This page calculates the total town cost for all the health insurance expenses for our field services folks, which are our sworn full-time law enforcement officers.
So you could also have on here, somebody could waive it because their spouse could work somewhere and they have better
Well,
insurance.
so-
So they could
so-
wait for the
Right,
state.
so it's not just they're younger, right?
They could
So
work for the state.
There's a lot of different reasons.
And you have people in dry care too,
Correct,
that,
right.
that get, because they have to
Absolutely.
waive their insurance
Right.
automatically.
So as we talked about last week, right, we're honored to have those
Yeah.
folks that are in the reserves or former retired military working with us or,
That's what I thought
military
it was, that I
spouses.
wanted to make
But it's a
sure.
bargain for the town.
It's a
if
huge
somebody
bargain.
waives.
Incredible.
Savings, because
Yes.
its town doesn't have to spend those extra funds for
Right.
that particular employee.
No, I get this. Thank you, everybody, for taking the time to explain this, but what I don't understand is like, if we have the husband who's also employed,
And he's covered. He's not
Right?
here.
why are we paying the 2,000? I just don't,
Because it's her right as a
every-
union
I'm not
employee.
arguing, I'm
It's
just
a right as a union employee
Okay.
that she's eligible for that.
okay,
She shouldn't be denied it.
okay,
And if she personally or he personally declines it, then they get
Okay.
reimbursement.
okay, I get it, thank you.
And we should probably note for everyone watching that doesn't have the book in front of them or hasn't hit the link, that this category, we're requesting $55,000 less than what we asked for.
Yeah. Okay,
But
thank you.
a majority of that is because we have some people that are younger, we have less tenured people, your insurance changes sometimes by your age
Yeah.
category, so, yeah.
No, I
And
get
also
that.
by, if you're an employee, and one person or a
he
family.
answered this
So if we hire people that are single, yeah, it's gonna definitely
Yeah.
drop.
Thank you.
It also
I
seems
appreciate
like we have more people waiving than we've had in the past.
Sure.
Yes, yes.
So as staff, right, that don't have unique situations, as staff gets older, their salaries go up, right? So as we retain people, salaries increase, benefits increase. Tenured employees cost more than less tenured employees,
But
right?
we
So
love them all equally.
we do love them all equally, but when we have the conversation about retention, we also have to accept that that costs us more money, right? So one goes hand in hand.
Yeah, but it's institutional knowledge.
100%, yes.
Yeah, I think our conversation covers page 17 as well.
Yes, it does.
I think it does.
Okay, with the savings.
Okay, page 18, this is very straightforward, I would think. Any questions on that?
No, I applaud the town for increasing those stipends.
Page 19, also very straightforward. Any questions on that?
And again, I just want to point out, as I did the other night, that there is the new bilingual stipend that was negotiated during the last contract negotiation session. That stipend begins on July 1st of this year. We placed it under the educational degree stipend rather than creating a whole separate line item. And so you can see both charts broken out there.
What page are you on?
Page
19.
19, the bottom chart on page 19
There's
is the
education
bilingual
on the top
stipend.
and then the bilingual on the bottom.
So I'm gonna ask a question, but it's gonna sound dumb. I know it will. Is it only bilingual stipend for Spanish? Or like if they speak any other language, do you give that stipend or?
So it is up to my discretion, I believe is where the contractual language reads. But no one else in the department has qualified for this.
But her
Like,
question was.
No matter what language. So no one else currently qualifies for any other language.
So that.
So nobody else speaks another language on our force
That
at
is
all, at all?
That is proficient in that, no.
Okay, but if somebody came on and spoke Chinese or Russian.
We would have
look
to,
at
we would
that
have to
stipend?
make sure that that was a benefit to the department operation.
Is that something that would come to the police commission? to
No,
dis-
no. Well, that is,
Okay.
that is my job as the chief. If someone came to me and said, hey, I speak Mandarin and we have a small Mandarin population, and I said, absolutely no, they could file a grievance
Mhm.
that I violated the collective bargaining agreement. It would come to me. I could either overrule myself or I could say no, and then the next step would be for them to present their grievance to this commission. So that's how you would intervene, but I don't see that happening. But I do see this bilingual stipend growing. As I mentioned during my presentation on Tuesday night, there are many officers who are very, very interested in learning Spanish and becoming proficient.
But
So I'm
is
excited about
your,
that.
is your bilingual stipend only on Spanish, right?
The need has never arisen to
No.
decide if it's something else, is what he's saying.
Okay,
And it will be a
but-
case by case basis.
Right, but there's also different types, like not all Spanish is the same. So if you go to Venezuela, their dialect is different from, Argentina.
It's
So-
mostly if you can have conversational Spanish, we're not talking grammatical. And yes, some of the things are different if you're from Spain, if you're from Mexico, Puerto Rico, Central America, South America, but I don't know that we can delineate all of that. It's gonna be, can you speak Spanish proficiently and can you have a conversation? Am I incorrect?
All right, let's move on. So 20? 20?
That's, we're up to page 20.
Thank you.
Any questions? I think this is,
So just to reiterate, in my proposal that you're reviewing tonight, I eliminated one canine position.
Right.
We did not retire a dog or lay off a dog. Instead of leaving that position vacant and then during the fiscal year finding someone to do that, I have eliminated that. If I decide that I think we need another canine unit, now I cannot make that unilateral decision. I would have to come to the police commission to get authority to add to the budget. And so I thought that that was a very smart way of handling that ongoing conversation.
and appropriate.
Thank you.
Okay, any questions on uniforms and cleaning, page 21? Support services salary, any questions on this one, the dispatchers?
So just keep in mind as we go through the dispatch personnel thing, remember their contract is up on June 30. I would imagine that they'll start, I would imagine we'll get a letter, a demand to bargain very, very soon. And so we put in 2.5%, 2%, general wage increase. That was not our decision. That was a decision that came from the first selectman, the finance directors. We went over on Tuesday night. And so that's what that was based on the budget.
Okay, and the two individuals that have, or that are in step one, they wouldn't be in step two next year?
No, the dispatcher contract currently requires that you get your raise on July 1, but you must work a complete year before that. So some new employees, depending when they're hired during the year, wind up staying at step one for like a year and a half.
Okay, because it
Only is allowed to be step
July
increase on
1st.
July 1. Yep. I would imagine that might come up in negotiations. And perhaps rightfully so.
July 1 versus higher date, essentially.
Yeah, or you don't have to work the year, you just get to
Right.
July 1.
Yeah.
That's what the police officers have. So you just get on the budgetary cycle.
You don't have any bilingual, people in the dispatching office, do you?
Not currently, no. But I would imagine that they'll pursue the same type of stipend in their collective bargaining.
But you don't have one that can speak fluent.
So if somebody calls 911,
We have what's called the language line,
uh,
that we immediately click a button and then someone can assist us translate it.
what if they can't, especially?
Generally, they can. It's a very, very robust resource
Okay,
that every 911 center has access to.
okay.
And Chief, you're fairly confident we can fill dispatcher 9?
Yes, yep, absolutely.
All right, page 23, dispatch vacation and personal day coverage, any questions? Good.
You'll see that there's that continued savings from the merger of emergency communications and the records division that I conducted in 2019.
Any questions on dispatch additional hours? Dispatch extra personnel, page 25.
So again, the reason why these are going down, we're using the same formulas. We have a younger staff, they make less of the salary, so we use the same exact formulas. They make less money, the budget goes down.
Future years as well.
It should rise again.
Page 26, same phenomenon. Any questions?
Correct.
Now, in that dispatch, sick injured replacement for, this current year, should it be 16,728?
Yes.
Okay.
Where did they get that number from? Do we know? Where would that change from?
It wasn't changed, so
It's
it's probably a
higher.
typo.
Right,
It's
yeah, it's
17.
typo.
Oh, I don't know.
But again, that's last year's budget.
Right. Got it.
But the difference is the same.
Page 27, any questions? Page 28, our beloved Jennifer.
My only question is, are we're making sure we're keeping up with the deficit so that it's gonna, right, so we don't get to a year where you haven't gotten it in forever, like we ran into the chief.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so So she is a non-union member.
Right.
Municipal employee, so she gets a 3% general wage increase like the rest of the
We just got to
non-union.
that point where there were so many years, so I
Correct.
just wanna make sure that's.
And also how we took care of it last year.
Yes,
So, but
yes.
That's up
it-
to
It's
date.
working.
Okay.
Jennifer and I had a conversation about that.
So are
There she
you
is.
getting the stipend again?
Yes.
So we're just continuing on with that, okay? Okay.
All right, any questions on the community service officers? Or information technology? These are all custodial support, we have optimism that
Oh, yeah.
we'll fill that.
I think that at some point in life, I have been so confused about Henry's employment. I just don't understand.
He's just a custodian. That's it.
Yeah. Let's go.
All right, page 30, support services, life insurance, and support services, FICA. These are. Any questions? Similarly, page 31, support services, retirement contributions, and health insurance. Any questions? Support services, page 32, dental insurance.
Now, can you tell us about what the changes were in that chart?
Yes, let me go to my oops slide.
Oh, that was an oops.
That was the oops slide. Hold on 1 second. Sure. There we go. My oops slide. Okay. So on page 32, the dental insurance for Caitlin should be 0. Leah, 390. Andrea, $1,014. There is no change to the bottom line.
Andrea, 300 and what?
So Andrea is $1,014.
Same dollars, different people.
Right. That's it.
Okay,
Leah is 390.
Got it.
Caitlin is 0.
thank you. Okay. Wait, Leah 0? Okay, sure, it's 390.
No, Caitlin is 0.
Yes, and Leah is 390,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
Right.
Thank you.
Page 33. Any questions? Also, question in my mind, Chief, I seem to recall that our actuals on uniforms and cleaning sometimes are way out of whack.
Yeah.
Could you explain that?
Sure, so it's up to the individual employees to use their contractual benefit. But if we don't budget for the contractual benefit and they use the contractual benefit, I'm in a deficit.
Right.
And so, for a $12,000 line item, it's smart to make sure that we are covering our fiscal liability that's present in the collective bargaining agreement.
Okay.
If this is $100,000, I'd say let's look at a pattern of usage. But I think it's smarter to fund our fiscal liability.
But doesn't that same pattern hold true for the field services?
It does, but remember, that's not just cleaning, that's also uniform replacement. So if I'm a police officer that's been on for 4 years and I want a new shirt, it comes out of that line.
Or I've gained weight.
Well, yes, or like, I'm pregnant or whatever, like, right? So. Yep.
And I think my point of my question is this experience-based?
No, this is the fiscal liability in the contract.
Okay, so you don't have an experience
I don't,
adjustment.
I do not make an adjustment based on experience. No. I budget to the liability.
So I have a question. Again, this is one of those out of the, people are gonna think I'm insane. So when it's uniform cleaning,
Uniforms and cleaning is the name of the line item. So it's to purchase uniforms
yeah,
and it's also to take care of the uniforms, same line item. So we don't have a separate cleaning budget and a separate buy new stock budget. It's
Okay.
all one thing.
but these clothes can be washed.
Some of them can, some of them cannot. And so if you look at the chart, just for the dispatchers on page 33, you'll see what their contractual uniform allowance is.
Yeah.
That's to buy things. And you'll see what their weekly cleaning allowance is.
So is there a way that we don't require our officers to buy things that they have to bring to the dry cleaner, that they can just throw in their wash, or is that? Am I wrong?
Well, the uniform they come from, they probably come from dry clean only. I
Okay,
wash everything. I put it in
no,
the washing
100%,
machine, gentle.
yes,
toss it in the
but
dryer,
I
clean
want.
it.
Probably with
But
the
it's all-
package.
But no,
That's all
the-
contractual.
The whole thing,
And
Oh, sorry,
It's-
okay.
it's-
whether they like starch or not.
Yes, if you want to pressure,
Okay, thank you, sorry.
I don't iron, like, if they want to iron all their stuff and everything, that's a
Yes.
lot.
Yes. No, okay, thank you.
So I have a question, and maybe I missed it, but I don't think that I did as we were talking. When we had the discussion on workman's comp the other day.
Yes,
And it was gonna be a $27,000 difference.
yes.
And I don't know if Leanne or Carl will answer this, or if you know the answer. In the private sector, when you get your workman's comp, everyone has a rate, like police officers have a rate, roofers have a rate, like everyone has a different rate that you pay, and it's based on your salary. So have the.
Salary and daily. So,
Right.
a person has a license, yeah.
That's, sorry, I didn't get to finish my thought. So your rate is based on, yes, the job, like I just said, a roofer is very dangerous because you could walk off a roof if you don't have your safety equipment. But then when at the end of the year, they take your salary and they multiply it by your rate when you get audited. So is this a matter that the rate has changed, or do we have such a decrease in salary that when it gets multiplied out, it's making it that much less?
The sign of a good leader is even if you know the answer, turn to the expert. Ladies and gentlemen, Leanne Palladino, our finance.
Evening, everyone. So there's a few things going on. Workers' comp is calculated a little bit differently than it is through our insurance agency, Kerma. It used to be that we would have the audit, and if there was a lot of overtime or other things like that, then they would increase our workers' comp amount for that year, or decrease depending on what their assumptions are. So right now, they hold it flat, or we get an increase of maybe 2 or 3%. So we know what our workers' comp amount is going to be. And yes, it is based on what the job is. So public works and police officers, as a percent of their pay, is typically a lot higher percentage than someone like me who sits in an office. And so when we do have officers that work a lot of overtime, or any employees that work a lot of overtime, we still take out workers' comp on all of those pay. So it does create a little bit of a cushion for us. So I wait until I get the police budget is usually the last budget that I get in. I wait to see how much we have for the entire organization, and I make sure that we can cover that liability from a budget perspective. And then, as was the case this year, I was able to move it, prorate it back a little bit because we did have enough funds to cover our workers' comp. So done a little bit differently at our insurer. And I am able to utilize some of the workers' comp that comes out in overtime pay and put it towards our general fund budget.
So this will truly be a savings. We're not gonna get to the end of next year and it's gonna be, well, there was a ton more overtime. They're not doing it like that.
Correct. And I will only take out 90,000, period. You will not see more, you will not see less. And I do that for every single budget, because I know what it's going to be.
All right, thank you.
What was the difference in savings?
27,000.
Was it
27,000.
27? I thought that was for Eversource.
No, so
It's
what
added
I
to
give you that breaking news slide,
Yes.
and so we have $27,000. I'm going to ask you, I guess I can do that now?
Sure.
Sure, okay, cool. I'm gonna ask you to take $10,000 of the 27,000 and increase our Eversource line item. And that meets more of an actual. And then there's $17,000 left for you guys to discuss. My recommendation,
I think you made your
Yeah, you did.
recommendation, and
well, no, I have a different, can I just
It's a
finish?
different recommendation than the other night?
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
I'm
because
sorry.
175 days, a lot of things happen during this budget process.
But it's only been a week.
Lots of things happen in this budget process. And so I think we should reduce the budget by $17,000 and let the Board of Selectmen do what they want with that $17,000. So I don't think that should sit in our budget.
Okay,
If we need money after the dispatcher negotiations, it could be more, it could be less. And I don't want to create a scenario where someone says, well, you got the 17, figure it out. Because then that changes my formula-based budgeting.
okay.
And so if salaries change, I want them to give us the exact amount of money to satisfy the new fiscal demands from that.
Okay, I actually am more in line to agree with that approach than the other one that you had suggested the other night. However, I also wanted to mention Bruce's email to us last night,
I'm sorry?
Bruce Carlson,
Oh,
Board of Finance Chair. As we're approaching the general expenditures now, maybe we should talk a little bit about that.
Do you wanna read that?
So, wait, before we do that, just so I understand, because I'm gonna ask this question.
Did you read the email?
No, yes, it's more, so aside from that. Flip the fleet. I don't understand, are we not budgeting for that this year? I don't get it.
No, we're not.
Okay. I
So-
don't get it.
That's okay. So in this budget,
Yeah,
there is $90,000.
but that's for 9 cars?
Can I gotta finish. Okay. So in that budget, in this year's proposed budget, there's $90,000 for the fleet. Over the past 4 years, we've
Mhm.
made a payment of roughly $89,000 towards the loan for our current fleet.
and that's in each of those years.
Correct. The loan is paid off. We own the cars fully. In order to keep the municipal budget flat, so we don't see budget spikes from year to year, and the taxpayer doesn't see a budget spike from year to year, we are maintaining the budgeted amount of $90,000, which will go into an off-budget account as seed money for the next time we need to replace the cars. Part of my executive goals for 2025 is to present this commission with a plan on when and how we're going to do that. When the police commission first approves that, whether that's mid-budget year, next budget, whether I present that for the fiscal year 27 budget, whenever we do that, the town will have seed money in that account that they can use. That account is active now because last time, when we quote unquote flipped the fleet, I was able to get higher trade-in values for the cars that we got rid of. And so that surplus now sits in that very same account that this new 90,000 is going to go in.
So are we gonna start trading in? Like, I guess we're approving the 25-26 fiscal year budget, right? That does not include flipping the fleet at all. Like, we're not gonna start trading stuff in, we're not gonna start planning for that. We're just-
So this budget that I have proposed to the police commission, which is now the police commission's to deliberate on and adopt, has $90,000 that will go into an off-budget account for our fleet. There is no proposal currently from me to the police commission to replace all of our cars. But that is.
Or any of them.
Or any of them, yes, but that
But
is
there
one
is
of my
money
goals
available.
for this year.
In an off-budget account, like a savings.
No, so I get all that. I think I'm thinking as like, a normal like citizen where we buy a car and it's $50,000 for one car. So we have to get 9 and we have how much in this off budget? I think that's my.
So remember, for the last 3 times we've done this, we have financed the purchase. And so we make payments once a year. We don't pay for the cars outright year.
Right, no, I get, no.
Because it keeps
Right,
the
right,
budget
right,
neutral.
Yeah.
Right, so you make payments.
What was the actual in-service date for most of the cars? Like when we actually have them outfitted and they could go on the road?
They sat, Renee, for close to a year.
Right,
Yeah.
and, okay, that's what I'm just trying to.
Yeah, I mean, the COVID backlog for supplies and everything, the cars were delayed. I mean, that was,
But how
That was
much
tough.
per car? Do you have that breakdown or no?
how much per car what?
Like, how much was each car?
Yeah, that's in that initial proposal. I mean, I can get you a copy of that, sure.
Okay.
And right now is not like the greatest time to even think about buying cars. The cost of cars is ridiculous.
Well, that's why I'm asking, like, do I have to like, okay, yeah, got it.
Can I talk about Bruce's email and general expenditures and
Yes,
stuff like that?
yeah, yes,
I was going to make a different suggestion. We're approaching 8 o'clock. We've been at work since 5 o'clock. We're going to be back on Monday.
Yeah.
And we're getting near the end of the budget book. And I think Bruce's questions and comments are probably going to be right for discussion on Monday. I would like to get.
I agree with you. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I at least think we should throw it out there, not all of what he's looking for and interested in, but in just the 3 items where he suggested adjusting the budget. And so we can sit on it over the weekend and think about it.
Do you want to read that in, so?
Or I don't, because it's long.
right, no, it is. Can we
Well,
take a
can I
5-minute
just
break?
finish? Can I please
Okay.
finish? There were 3 items here. He
5,
talked
4.
about. No, there were 3, I thought. Building maintenance, information technology, and other supplies.
Well,
Those are the 3 that I saw.
okay, well, I see repairs and maintenance and building maintenance as 2 different line items. So,
Okay, well, so what he's suggesting is that we budget more actually towards what we've been spending historically over the last few years. And that, because what happens is we end up with the surplus on the employees who we haven't filled positions for, and we fill the deficits in those accounts with those employees' surplus. And at some point, we're gonna have an entire complement of employees, and then we still have the deficit in those things. So it would make sense to just start thinking about, should we decide to up those line items, which will throw our budget into a higher percentage of what we're asking for, or should we just leave it the way it is? So I think it's all just food for thought for the next time we get together.
And could I give you a soundbite so
Sure.
you have that perception to think about over the
yes, please.
Okay, so Bruce talks about in his email about freezing the budget, July 1, and then as you get to the end of the fiscal year, seeing what your resources are, and then I do that, right? So this commission knows in July, when I hand out the budget, or August, when I hand out the budget, I say, on July 1, I froze the budget. We're a 24/7, 365 public safety agency. I have no idea what's gonna happen in the next 365 days. So we spend very, very little, only the stuff that we have to spend out of these line items until we get closer to the end of the year. This is the same budget philosophy that I would guess, and Leanne can comment, that almost every other town of Old Saybrook municipal department does. In past years, yes, we've had some vacancies, and I've come to the commission, you did a wonderful thing. You remember all the personal safety equipment that you
Right.
approved, right? That came out of that little bit of
The
surplus. I feel confident, if I didn't, I would not have presented this to you, right? Because otherwise I'd be setting myself up for administrative disaster. I feel confident that for fiscal year 26, what we've been doing will yield success again, for a couple of reasons. Number one, hopefully, you're going to endorse adding $10,000 to the Eversource account,
The electricity.
the electricity account. So that will be very, very, very helpful to that. Secondly, we know at the end of the year, we infuse monies from our private duty, off-duty account to come back into the budget to zero out vehicle maintenance costs and fuel costs. You heard me in my presentation talk about how the first selectman has already entered into a contractual agreement for the total amount, dollar amount that's in our proposed budget for gasoline for fiscal year 26. And so if we spend over that, that gets covered by the infusion of monies back into our budget from the private duty account. That has worked remarkably, at least, Leanne, 5-6 years. How many years have you been here now?
Yeah, no, well, I've been here for 10, but we haven't been doing it all along. And yes, that that is a Board of Finance approved policy. They felt that because the cars were being used for outside services, that it only made sense to reimburse the general fund budget for the gas and the wear and tear on the cars. So it's a process that the chief and I tabulate at the end of every single fiscal year, and we bring those monies, actually at this point, we bring all those monies back in to the police budget to offset those types of expenses.
So I understand what we're saying, totally understand what you're saying. I don't want to, artificially is probably the wrong word, but I don't want to increase the cost to the taxpayer by increasing our line items when I believe that we're going to be okay. If we're not okay, again, every month when I come to you and I talk to you about lots of things and you evaluate what I say and ask me questions, you see the budget. And over the past times, we've said, wow, the legal line items is getting high. Okay, well now I know I can't spend as much in another line item, or in this case, professional development supplies is through the roof, which means I have to balance it in another category. If we get to the point where I don't believe we're going to be budget neutral in this part of the budget, I have to come to you and say, what do you want to do? Do you want to go to the Board of Selectmen? Do you want to go to the Board of Finance? Do you want to wait to the end of the year? I mean, we have been blessed over the past many years that we've had come in with a surplus. But that's not just because we have vacancies, it's also because of some sound budgeting practices. So I'm not at a point where I feel that we should increase these line items other than the $10,000 for electricity.
Can I ask about that though, too?
100%, yes.
Because if we do that with money that is essentially gifted to us, then the following year, we're gonna be short on that $10,000 in that account.
Not at all, because if it's part of your approved budget, that budget number will stay flat the next year.
Yes, but it'll bounce that budget up by $10,000 in percentage wise.
It would be the new,
It's a fiscal cliff essentially.
yeah, it'd be the new normal.
Okay, but
Because it was in this initial proposal, right? The workman's comp was higher. We're just taking a portion of that. It does not, in fact, the budget's going to go down, right? If we decide to give that $17,000, but the budget will go down.
A little bit, right?
Next year, we're down by, $17,000. Next year, the electricity line item, let's find it here.
50?
Be 50, it would be 60. And it would say, so next year's budget would say last year was 60, this new year is 60. Increase $0. If we did this mid-budget year after an approval, you're 100% correct. We do this now and it's endorsed through the whole budget process.
You're adding in that
Budget.
$10,000.
Correct, it's budget new. We're just, right now, we're moving money from one line item to
To
another.
another.
That's all we're doing.
May I make a comment, Chief? I just want everyone to know that the workers' comp budget is budgeted by myself, not by the chief. I did give him an indication of 120,000 as we started the budget process. But it's not a gift. This $27,000 is not really. I give you, and I do appreciate that, in order to keep the budget flat year over year, that you might want to try to do something different with it. But if the commission does decide to increase the electricity account, it will year over year next year remain at the same level as it is. And so I just didn't want anyone to think that you have to spend that $27,000. It's not, we budget that in finance.
so just to be clear, I know, again, this is a silly question. That's just for the police department building. It's not for anything emergency management.
Oh,
or
no, this
anything.
is
It's
nothing to do
just-
with emergency management. This
okay.
is just the police department campus, correct?
Okay.
And then the only other thing Bruce brought up, and he is 100% correct. He had questioned one element of the staffing formula. So in his email, he said, one of your steps, you're generally saying it takes 45 minutes on an average for a call for service. Then he followed that up with, okay, I get that, but you've told us that now you're keeping very precise data over the last 2
Right.
years.
From the system.
Why are you not using that data? And Bruce Carlson is correct. So we data mined, and the same calls for service that are included in the staffing formula, we extracted the average time. And so the average time actually went from 45 minutes per call for service on an average to an hour, 1.3 hours. And so that changes the staffing request for a patrol-based thing from 15 officers or 15.2 to 26.3 general police officers. So according to the new staffing formula, we are drastically short, but I'm not asking for any more police officers. But to his credit, and I will do this going forward, let's use the actual mine data because we have it now. But that does drastically change the staffing.
Raises other questions.
Well, 100%, which can we talk about next meeting?
Well, on that note, I would welcome a motion to adjourn tonight and let us follow up
Yes.
on Monday.
Don't we have other?
Yeah, we have a public comment.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, we've got a few things.
Well, okay, so I guess
So we're
I
on
would say I
comments
move
from
that we
board.
table the discussion
Right,
of
until
the
Monday.
budget until Monday, and that we might pick up at item 4, comments from the public. Is there anyone in the present?
Hi, do you want me to come here or can I just say it from right here? You're fine.
You're
Okay.
fine, you project well.
Sure. So again, I'm Ashley Fong. I'm CEO of a grassroots anti-human trafficking nonprofit. Not only do I advocate for victims of human trafficking, I also regularly report to the U.S. Department of Labor, particularly Wage and Hours Standards Division. And what I saw here tonight would in my professional opinion, specifically what Chief Sparrow said, a negotiation tactic would in my professional opinion, constitute an ethical violation of the wage and standards. And it would be something that my organization would typically report on behalf of, technically, I'm sorry, a victim tonight, Chief Sparrow, because negotiating his wage during a budget meeting is entirely unethical. And I also, as a survivor of domestic violence that regularly has to call the police and a survivor of familial human trafficking within the state of Connecticut, 1.3 hours for a call is something I appreciate. So the comments that and the faces that I saw for the 1.3 hours on a call is a great job. So thank you, and happy National Law Enforcement Appreciation Day.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comment from the live present audience? How about from the live virtual audience? Please raise your hand.
No hands raised.
All right, comments from the chief of police?
Yeah, I'll be very brief. I really do feel it was inappropriate, the conversation that we had. If this commission would like to schedule an executive session, we want to review our agenda for Monday's meeting, I'll be more than happy to discuss issues that I have regarding that topic in the proper forum, which is an executive session. I would just like you all, when you go home and you think about the budget stuff that will be on your mind, I want you to watch back on a couple of different police commission meetings. Could be my budget presentation, could be this meeting, could be other meetings. And ask yourself, would you feel comfortable negotiating with that group? And that is one of the things that I am struggling with. Over the past year, there have been many police commission meetings that can best be described as hostile. And that makes it difficult for an employee to want to enter into a collaborative negotiating experience. And so I thought, and I had actually said this at a previous meeting, I thought that we were all getting in a better place. But some of our past meetings were not doing ourselves, the community, and our staff justice. And so while I've tried to lower the temperature so we can have collaborative meetings, and we've had them, right? Think about the promotional thing, the structure. I mean, we actually got together, collaborated, and worked. And I just think that that's a better format. And I would appreciate if we could work on getting back to that. It's better for you, it's better for me, it's better for my staff that watches, and it's certainly better for the town that we all care about and are all here to serve. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Comments from commissioners?
I have a comment. I wanted to thank Chief today. I spent some time, about 45 minutes with him going over the budget. It was a very nice meeting. I also wanted to make sure that it was brought up, one of the goals that the chief brought to our attention last night was a list, and I noted one was missing, and it was important to me because I was the one that actually presented this to the chief, and I think it's noteworthy that it be brought to everyone's attention, was that collaborative calendar. So I appreciate that, and I just wanted to make that aware that although you had your goals, and I appreciate that, I think that was noteworthy to be included.
Thank you.
So thank you.
Appreciate it.
Any other comments from commissioners? I just have this to offer. Chief, in the first place, nothing about what I have spoken about earlier tonight about freezing your salary is in any way intended to, nor do I think it does, reflect adversely on the high opinion with which we regard the department. This is only related to the fact that you have an employment contract with the commission. That employment contract has a provision dealing with salary increases. That provision says that those salary increases will be related to your annual evaluation. We have attempted for 3 years to get you to talk with us about that annual evaluation, and you have refused to do so.
Well,
So it is.
that's
so
not
it is- so it
completely
is-
true. I've attended subcommittee
So-
meetings, and that's not.
Right,
that's
so
not-
was speaking.
So this is since we presented you with the subcommittee result and as approved by the commission. So it is only out of extreme frustration that we do this. And it is only after talking with you, trying to remind you months ago, actually reminding you months ago, and then telling you a few days ago that I was going to bring this up. And if you had said, no need, let's have a special meeting, I'm ready to talk with you, I would have honored that. But you didn't. You said, talk to a lawyer because you don't have the right to do that.
I didn't say you don't have the right to do that. I said it's improper and possibly illegal, and you should get consequences. So.
Right,
I'm-
stop.
So-
No.
Okay,
no,
so
everybody
that's enough. I have
Part of my burden
Excuse
sometimes
me,
is to make sure that you know what you're doing correctly.
Excuse me, Chief.
It is Chubb's turn to
You
speak.
have had your comment and you made your statement about this question. I'm having my comment. I'm making my statement about this question. And I am finished with my statement, so I invite a motion.
So, no, wait, I raised my hand before and you just didn't see me because you were so excited about your comment, which is great. I think that we do need to circle back on the evaluation and go over what was approved by the whole commission. I do not remember what was. I will most certainly watch any video that was, and I will most certainly circle back, but I don't think we actually agreed on a tool. And
So
I,
ask the chief right now if he has the.
excuse me.
Just ask him.
Oh, I'm talking to
You
you.
don't have to look
I
up
don't
anything.
think that we actually agreed on a tool. I really don't. I will look at all the video, like, but I think that we are.
Unfortunately, you can't look at the executive sessions, but, because they're not recorded.
It's one simple question. Does he have it?
We didn't agree on a tool, so all this.
Jessica, I don't know what you
Jessica,
said you
we
weren't
most
at.
certainly did.
We did.
You
and it
had
was
a short
handed to
memory
him.
on this. It is, we most certainly did.
Okay.
I invite a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Any abstentions?